Hi guys, Dr. Scott Jan here, and today I'm going to teach you one of my favorite tools, which is called Emotional Freedom Technique, or EFT for short. I've been teaching this technique for over 20 years, and people have found so much benefit from it. All right? It's mainly used for mental, emotional issues, but it can also be used for chronic pains and organ function, things like that, and I'll explain why in a minute. So EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, was founded by a man named Dr. Gary Craig, and he developed it in the early 1990s. Now, he studied under someone named Roger Callahan, who is credited with developing thought field therapy. It's based on traditional Chinese medicine, which has been practiced for over 5,000 years, so it's time tested. Now, if you don't know Chinese medicine, the philosophy is that the body contains an energy life force, and they call it qi. If you're a patient of mine for any length of time, you've probably heard me talk about something called innate intelligence. It's basically two different names for the same thing. It's a life force within the body. All right. So in traditional Chinese medicine, it's said that they have 12 primary meridians that circulate through the body. These meridians are energy channels that qi will flow. You also have 8 additional secondary meridians, but we're just going to focus on the 12 primary for this technique. All right, so these 12 interconnected networks are usually side by side, right side, left side. There's 2 that run down the middle, and they are connected to organs. For example, you have a kidney meridian, you have a lung meridian, you have a liver meridian, liver gallbladder. All right, so by acupuncture, they would take a needle and they would insert it into points where the energy is not flowing properly. Now, there's different ways to get energy flowing. And one of the ways that we found is that instead of using acupuncture with a needle into a point, we can use a tapping technique. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use tapping techniques to increase energy within a system and get that energy flowing again. All right. So there's other ways you can do it as well. And some of those would be using like a laser. You can use a little electrical stim, but we're going to tap. All right. So when we do this, we're going to try and use something called a basic recipe, which means that we're going to do a lot more than we probably need to do. But since we don't really have a diagnostic way like somebody in traditional Chinese medicine would do, or a chiropractor would do using muscle testing, right? We're just going to tap all the meridians. We'll tap specific points. And when we do that, we get that energy flowing again. All right. So why would energy not flow? Well, if we have enough of like a stressful situation, we can get that energy to bind up. And as I said earlier, energy in the meridians also correlate to different organs. So that can manifest into an organ function, right? We have another technique we call neuroemotional technique, which shows that each organ has a set of different feeling or emotions around them, like the gallbladder can be anger, gallbladder and liver can be anger, something like that. All right. So if we tap these meridians, we can get these energies flowing. Now, when we do EFT, what we're going to do is we're going to first identify the issue or the feeling, right? Either I'm angry because I got stuck in traffic, I had a fight with my siblings or my kids or something like that. All right. We're going to identify the issue. The more specific we can be about identifying the issue, the better. We can't just say, I'm angry, right? We have to be a little bit more specific. I'm angry because my husband left the toilet seat up, or whatever the case may be. All right? So we're going to identify the issue. After that, we're going to rate its intensity on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being doesn't bother you at all, 10 being rage, okay? If we're at a 9 or a 10, right, that's a really strong emotion. So we identify the issue, we rate its intensity, and then we're going to start by finding what's called our karate chop point. Now, the karate chop point is easily located by making a fist, and where that crease is, that's the karate chop point. It's a small intestine meridian, so we're going to tap on this. I like to do both sides, so I like to kink my hands and tap this way. You can tap like that if you want, but it's just easier. Now we get both of them. When we do an emotional technique, it's okay to tap one side or the other. You don't have to get both. But in this case, we're going to tap just like that. And while we're doing that, we're going to say the setup phrase. And the setup phrase is, even though I feel, and we're going to enter whatever we're feeling, I deeply and completely accept myself. Now, it doesn't have to be this exact words. We're just trying to identify the feeling, and then we're acknowledging that we're okay as we are despite that feeling, right? So even though I feel angry that my husband left the toilet seat up, right, I deeply, completely accept myself. Now, sometimes it doesn't always fit into a nice box of even though I feel, right? We can be like, even though my something something drives me nuts, or even though I have pain in my low back, I deeply, completely accept myself. So it doesn't have to be exactly that. So now we identify the feeling. So we're going to tap our karate chop point while we say that 3 times. Even though I have low back pain, I deeply and completely accept myself, right? Or even though I'm mad at my spouse for leaving the toilet seat up, I deeply and completely accept myself. 3 times while tapping the karate chop point, about this kind of cadence. Once we finish that, we're going to tap the following points: top of the head, inside of the eyebrow, outside the eyebrow, below the eye, above the lip, below the lip, collarbone, and underneath the ribs, underneath the arm. All right? Don't worry, I will go over these each one by one. Now, we don't have to say the entire, even though I had this issue. Instead, we're going to just say a reminder phrase. Something like, this pain in my back, this issue with my spouse, whatever the case may be. So we're going to start at the top of the head, and at the top of the head is probably a little harder to find for some people. So instead of using a karate chop point, we're going to use all of our fingers, right? Now, we're going to take our fingers like this, and we're going to tap here and say, this low back pain, right? That's it, right? Just tap about 5 or 6 times while saying, this issue with my spouse, whatever the case may be. Now, this is a governing vessel point. This point is excellent. It regulates movement of what's called the yang energy, and it can help ground you and ease things like anxiety or overthinking. It also clears the mind and nourishes the brain and help you feel focused and present. Okay, after we get to this point, we're going to go to here, the inner side of the eyebrow. This is the bladder meridian. Okay, take 2 fingers and tap here and say the reminder phrase, this low back pain, or whatever the case may be. Once we do that, we're going to go to the outside of the eye, which is a gallbladder point. Tap right out here, this low back pain. Then we're going to go under the eye, which is a stomach meridian. Tap right here, this low back pain. Right above here, which again is a governing vessel, this low back pain. Under the chin, perception vessel, this low back pain. Then we're going to find where the collarbone meets the sternum, okay, right in there. It's kidney point. It's called kidney 27. In chiropractic, we use this to correct something called neurological disorganization. But in this technique of EFT, we've already done that with our karate chop point, right? Not everybody is neurologically disorganized, but it's better safe than sorry, so we tap it, right? But as you'll see, we won't have to tap it again as we go through this again. So, kidney 27, tap, 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 reminder phrase. Next, we're going to go to under the arm. Now, you're going to go, this is called the axilla, the armpit. So, mid-armpit, right, down about 4 inches. For men, it's about nipple height. Women, just look at where your bra is, right about the middle of the bra strap. And tap with the reminder phrase, right? You can use 3 fingers, this low back pain, right? And that's it. So once we get to that point, right, we used to do the hand, but not necessary, right? So we're going to skip that part, all right? So we're going to tap that in sequence, and we're going to reassess the issue on a scale of 1 to 10. Did we make an effect? It was a 9 before, it's a 6 now, let's just say, for example. Well, 6 is still pretty high. So we want to go through that again, right? If it was down to maybe 2 or less, you're probably good for the moment, all right? But if it's still higher than a 2, well, we're going to do something called a gamut procedure. That gamut procedure, we're going to find the gamut point, which is located between the last 2 bones in the hand, about halfway through. You're going to tap on that. That's a triple warmer or triple heater acupuncture point, and it helps to quiet down your fight or flight response, right? Your stress response, okay? So we'll tap that point while we're doing the following things, which tend to stimulate different areas of the brain, right brain, left brain. You're going to close your eyes, then open your eyes. Eyes are going to go hard down to the right while the head stays stable. We don't want the head to move at all. Eyes hard down to the right, eyes hard down to the left. Then you're going to roll your eyes in a circle to the right, and then counterclockwise to the left. After you do that, you're going to hum 2 seconds. Make up a tune, right? Hopefully one that doesn't have words, because we want to stimulate the right half of the brain, which is more the tonal, more the creative side of the brain. All right? We don't want to try and get language in there. So hum 2 seconds, and then you're going to count backwards from 10 by 3s or from 10 by 4. Something that's going to make you do a little bit of mathematical calculation, right? 10, 7, right? You only have to do that for about 2 seconds, 1 or 2 times. So 10, 7, 4, right? Done. So now you just stimulate the left half of the brain. Then you're going to hum that same tune, right? And that's it. Once you've done that, we're going to go back and repeat from the governing vessel, all right? And then go through that again and see how we feel. Now, when you go through the second time, you're going to measure your response at the end and see where you're at. If you're still above a 2, then most likely there's something more to that issue, right? Let's just take the spouse issue. My spouse always leaves the toilet seat up. Well, maybe there's some other things going on there. Maybe it's a bigger, broader issue of, well, my spouse is so inconsiderate of me, or, oh, my spouse doesn't have time for me, and just that's a catalyst. So try and look at other angles of the same problem and work on that and help peel what we call the layers of the onion. If we do that, we should get a better response. The other thing I'll mention when we do this work is we will find that usually once we start to go through a few things, it'll have a resonance effect, which means that other issues, mainly in the mental emotional realm, will start to clear up, right? I always tell people to make a list of at least 50 things that you want to clear up, that always kind of your triggers, right? And as we start to go through those, patients start to find that once they get past 10, 12 maybe, all the other ones start to fade away because the body is moving better, the energy is flowing through our system better, and we're able to release these negative emotions, all right? So let's go through it, the whole thing, from start to finish, without instruction, just show you how it would be done. So this way you can come back to the video. We'll put a little marker at this point. So if you want to come back to it and do it together with me, right, we can go right to that until you learn it, which should be very quick, okay? All right, so, I have a problem that I struck out in baseball yesterday, you know, if I'm a kid, or I get very nervous when I talk in front of a large audience. We'll use that one. All right, so my karate chop point, even though I get nervous when I speak in front of large crowds, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I get nervous when I speak in front of large crowds, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I get nervous in front of large crowds, I deeply and completely accept myself. Right? So that part's done. Then start here, right? Nervous in large crowds. Nervous in large crowds. Nervous in large crowds. This one comes first? Let's do that one again, huh? All right. Nervous in large crowds. Nervous in large crowds. Nervous in large speaking. Sorry. Nervous when speaking in front of large crowds. 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 And nervous when speaking in front of large crowds. I reassess, say it was at a 9, now it's at a 4, still a little high. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back and repeat our things. Eyes closed, eyes open, hard to the right, hard to the left, circle one way, circle the other way. 10, 7, 4, and repeat. Nervous while speaking in front of large crowds. Nervous while speaking in front of large crowds. Nervous while speaking in front of large crowds. nervous while speaking in front of large crowds, 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 nervous while speaking in front of large crowds. Then you reassess again. Yeah, I feel comfortable now. Imagine speaking in front of large crowds. Yeah, I don't feel like it's bothering anymore. Then you're done, right? And again, if you still feel nervous about it, start to examine the other areas. Oh, well, maybe it's nervous about messing up, or maybe it's nervous about embarrassing myself, or nervous about somebody asking questions that I know the answer to, and work through some of the other areas of your issue. All right. So I hope that helped, right? I hope you get as much benefit out of it as I've gotten in my life, and many of my patients have also gotten. All right. So if you want to learn more about this or any other techniques, you can drop me an email. All right. If you are in the Cebu City area and you're having some health problems, give our clinic a call, come in, and let's get you healthy again, okay? All right. Till next time. Take care.